there is a shared experience, right? Across, it's not just for coaches. Black women getting the opportunity. And it's not just like, oh, why aren't the Black women getting the opportunity? It's also when they do get the opportunity, what is the nurturing of that Black woman in that role when she has the opportunity? When this Black woman has this seat as head coach, for me, is it she being supported and giving the chance to implement her system? Is she being given feedback? And is her vision and voice being supported? Or is she working within an organization where she's facing opposition? Can you imagine? How can you succeed when you're not getting wind beneath your wings? Or when you have to go, when it's opposition, you're trying to implement. I just want to make sure too that the bar doesn't get changed when we're talking about Black women holding that seat. And I do think that happened. The bar got changed in the situation of the Chicago Sky. This is not about coming for Tyler Marsh's head. This is about the Sky franchise. Spoon was hired by the Chicago Sky October 12, 2023. She was fired September 26, 2024. That was less than a year. And if you actually look at WNBA seasons and like when she actually had time with the team, she had about 6 months with the franchise and with the players. It's a sign of a turbulent organization if you fire a coach after 6 months. You never gave them a real chance. Since they won that championship in 2021, they've had 4 coaches. So that's 4 coaches in 4 years. That's just a lot of turnover. Okay, the bar changed though, because Spoon finished 13-27, and even still, she had the support of franchise players. Angel Reese, other players were vocal about her. This season's team of the Sky, led by Tyler Marsh, finished even worse. 10-34. They tied for last. The results were worse. They also missed the playoffs. And obviously at the end of the season, there was a lot of dysfunction. Why was 13-27 for Spoon not acceptable, but 10-34 for another coach is? Why did the bar change? I feel that has to be called out. Why wasn't Spoon given a second season of continuity to implement and grow her system? We've got to keep an eye on that and call that out.
All right, so you've got this ESPN analyst, Chiny Aguamaike, and she is finally speaking out about something major happening in the WNBA, the league not hiring any Black coaches. Seriously, an analyst from ESPN just put the whole league on blast because there were a bunch of new coaching hires this season and not a single one was a Black woman. Instead, the league brought in 3 coaches who have ties to the NBA, and it's kicking off this massive conversation about who actually built this league from the ground up. Honestly, the timing for this controversy could not be worse for the WNBA's public image. It really makes you stop and think, when you see an organization make moves like this, what do they really care about?
Look at this. Ta-da! I bet y'all noticed there is a new trend in the WNBA, a new pipeline for head coaches. It's the NBA. Friday, the New York Liberty announced that they chose to hire Golden State Warriors assistant Chris DeMarco as their next head coach. Now, what does this mean in the big scheme of things? Well, here are the pros. In my opinion, the ultimate goal is always for people to realize that basketball is just basketball, no matter who is playing, whether you're in the NBA or the WNBA. It's all good hoops. For a very long time, people thought that the standard for meaningful opportunity in this industry was being associated with the NBA. Trust me, I know this a little bit personally. The list with ties is starting to get super long. Becky Hammon, Natalie Nakase, Nate Tibbetts, Alex Sarama, Sonia Rahman, Tyler Marsh, and now Chris DeMarco. For additional context, there are more coaches in the NBA than there are players in the WNBA. So getting a promotion to head coach in the NBA, especially with how they recycle respected names, probably seems really difficult, nearly impossible. But you know what they say, money talks. With coaches now making well over $1 million, the WNBA is now becoming a destination for opportunity. I'm sure people are noticing that if you're not getting hired from the NBA, you're most likely now coming from college. Lynn Roberts, Carl Semesco, and Jose Fernandez. And this leads me to my cons. It's getting increasingly hard for aspiring coaches or even former players to win from within. Internally, the WNBA has some of the brightest minds. Christy Tolliver, Breon January, Karima Christmas Kelly, Lindsey Harding, who is currently with the Los Angeles Lakers. Entering last season, Noelle Quinn was the only Black female head coach in the entire WNBA. And now the count is at 0. Clearly, all eyes are on the WNBA and its head coaches, but I hope we also never forget who helped pave the way.
So Chiny Ogwumike from ESPN decided she couldn't stay quiet anymore about the WNBA's whole coaching situation this offseason, and believe me, she is not mincing words. The league just filled 5 head coaching positions, and you know how many went to black women? 0. Not a single one. What's more, 3 of those 5 coaches came directly from the NBA world. And because of that, there's this huge debate blowing up right now about diversity, about who gets a real shot, and about who truly laid the foundation for the WNBA that we see today.
I love a good unqualified man hire. Woo!
Love it.
I love it. I love it. Here's why I love it. I mean, obviously I'm being sarcastic. I don't love it. This is embarrassing. We're talking about things bigger than a nice person getting an opportunity. An opportunity that he is completely unqualified for.
Right.
Completely unqualified for. And I don't want to hear about the playing. Coaching is an experience that you have to have experience for. And we undermine it constantly by these hires. So what really bothers me is every time these unqualified, wildly unqualified hires happen, nobody wants to give it the attention that it deserves when we're talking about black head coaches.
That's right.
You have no experience, none, 0, none, no experience in college or professionally. And what is the word that we always hear when it comes to black coaches being hired? Well, they just don't have enough experience. This is why when people start their whole production about, oh, everybody's politically correct now and everybody's so sensitive and you're always complaining about stuff. I don't know what's a better example of I can get a beer with this guy.
Okay, let's break down exactly what set this whole thing off. It started when the New York Liberty hired a guy named Chris DeMarco, who's been a longtime assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors. Now this hire came right after they fired Sandy Brondello, the same Sandy Brondello who had just coached that very team to a championship. Yeah, you heard me. They won the whole thing. And they still fired their coach. That move alone had everyone scratching their heads, but hiring her replacement is what really lit the fuse. Look, DeMarco's resume is impressive. He's been with the Warriors since 2012, was part of 4 of their championship runs, and has worked with guys like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So from a pure basketball standpoint, it's a solid hire. The Warriors are a dynasty, and he was in the building for all of it. On paper, the Liberty got a winner, but here's the real issue. This is now the 3rd head coaching hire in the WNBA this offseason, with direct NBA connections. You've already got Becky Hammon with the Aces, Natalie Nakase with the new Golden State Valkyries, and now DeMarco with the Liberty. When you add in other coaches like Nate Tibbetts or Tyler Marsh, who was a total disaster in Chicago, you start to see a very clear pattern emerging. The WNBA is consistently looking over at the NBA for its head coaches, instead of promoting the talent it already has.
This is a good old boys club if I had never seen it. And the next time we're talking about this, don't come to me, don't slide out of your little troll hole to tell.
Then this.
Portland Fire, an expansion team, is named Cavs assistant Alex.
And that's where Chiny's criticism really hits hard. She pointed out that going into last season, the entire WNBA had only one black female head coach, and that was Noelle Quinn. Now, that number is 0. Not a single one in the whole league. That is a massive problem, especially when you consider that this league was built on the shoulders of black women who have been playing, supporting, and growing this sport for decades. Chiny broke it down looking at the pros and cons. On the pro side, you could argue the goal is for everyone to see that basketball is just basketball, no matter if it's the NBA or the WNBA. For years, having an NBA connection was seen as the gold standard. So, bringing NBA coaches over could, in theory, make the WNBA look more prestigious. Plus, WNBA coaches are now making over $1 million, so it's becoming a place top-tier talent actually wants to be. But the cons are huge. It's getting tougher and tougher for former WNBA players and longtime assistants to get a promotion from inside the league. You have some of the smartest basketball minds right there. Women who played the game at the highest level. People like Christy Sides, Tanisha Wright, Pokey Chapman, Cheryl Reeve, They know this league inside and out, but they get passed over when teams keep hiring from the outside.
First coach in team history. I just think that the WNBA is a copycat league, and WNBA has had success in coaches that have come from the NBA, but the problem that I have is a lot of the coaches that are gonna come from the NBA are not gonna be women. And in a league that is all women, I think that the coaching positions are kind of going back to men. And if everything is going towards NBA, do women walking in the door have a fair shot? I'm saying having it be a fair option for women, and especially women of color, to have an opportunity to coach in the WNBA. And right now we have 0 African-American women that are head coaches. The NBA recognized that problem in the NBA with black males, and Adam Silver implemented a number of rules and hiring and especially in the process of the interviews and the criteria and all that stuff. And now look, there's a number of men that are represented by the NBA that are now head coaches.
Now, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Is the WNBA racist? It's a really complicated question. The league was literally built by black women. The players are mostly black. The entire history and the culture of the league are tied to black female athletes. So when 5 coaching jobs open up and not a single one goes to a black woman, it definitely makes you question the league's priorities. But this is where things get messy. Some people are trying to link this whole situation to Caitlin Clark and all the new attention that white players are getting. And honestly, that's where the conversation gets really uncomfortable, and it's probably not fair to her. Caitlin didn't make these hires. She's not in charge of the WNBA's hiring process. But it is true that her rise in popularity has happened at the same time as this big shift in how the league seems to operate. And some people see a connection there. The reality is, Caitlin Clark brought a level of attention to the WNBA that we have never seen before. Viewership numbers blew up. Arenas started selling out. Her jersey sales were off the charts. Whether you want to admit it or not, she has been the single biggest reason for the league's recent mainstream popularity boom. But that doesn't mean the league gets to just forget about the people who built it. The argument some are making is that the WNBA is so busy chasing that mainstream success that it's coming at the expense of the black women who created and carried this league for decades. That as soon as the real money and attention showed up, the league started looking to NBA coaches instead of promoting the women who have been grinding in the system for years. And that's a powerful criticism. But there is another side. The WNBA is a business, and businesses make decisions they think will help them succeed. If an ownership group truly believes an NBA coach brings more credibility or better strategy to help them win, they're going to make that hire. That's not always racism, sometimes it's just capitalism. They want to win and make money. The real question is whether that's a short-sighted strategy. Because by constantly looking outside for coaches, the WNBA is sending a very clear message. Our own people aren't good enough. And that has to be demoralizing for anyone who's been working their way up, paying their dues as an assistant, just hoping for a head coaching job that keeps going to somebody else. You have coaches like Christy Sides with the Fever and Cheryl Reeve with the Lynx, who have been in the W for years and have proven they can win, but they're starting to look like the exception, not the rule. The new trend is to hire from the NBA or college, and that's squeezing out the pipeline of WNBA lifers who rightfully expected to get their shot. Shiny even mentioned former players like Swin Cash and Taj McWilliams Franklin, who would be great coaches but aren't getting those opportunities. These are women who dominated the league, who understand the culture and could connect with players in a way an NBA assistant might not. But they're not even in the conversation. The New York Liberty situation is just so frustrating because they literally just won the title. Sandy Brondello coached them to a championship, and she still got replaced. The official story was that ownership wanted to go in a different direction. But the timing makes it seem like they saw a chance to grab an NBA-connected coach, and they took it no matter what. Sabrina Ionescu even reportedly called Steph Curry during the process to ask about DeMarco. That shows she was part of the decision, but it also shows the focus was on NBA connections, not qualified WNBA people. And here's the part that's tough to swallow. The WNBA is doing this because they think it'll attract casual NBA fans. They believe hiring coaches with NBA resumes signals that the WNBA is just as legitimate. But doing that automatically devalues the WNBA's own history and its own people. It basically says WNBA experience isn't enough, that you need an NBA stamp of approval to be taken seriously. That's an insult to everyone who's put in the work, and especially to the black women who have been the league's foundation from day one. You just can't ignore the racial part of it. When a league built by black women suddenly hires mostly white or male coaches with NBA resumes instead of promoting black women, it's a problem. It might not be explicit racism, but it shows the league cares more about something else than the people who built it. And let's be real about the Caitlin Clark effect. Her fame brought money and eyeballs, which is great. But if the result is that the league starts making decisions that push out the very black women who created its culture, that's not progress. That's just trading one set of priorities for another. Some people say Caitlin paved the way for this success, and in terms of mainstream attention, they have a point. But the real way was paved decades ago by legends like Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, and Cynthia Cooper, women who played when no one was watching, and for terrible pay. So when Shiny says she hopes we never forget who paved the way, she's reminding us the WNBA didn't start when Caitlin Clark's highlights went viral. It started with black women who built something out of nothing. And now that the money's here, those same women are being pushed aside for NBA assistants. This whole offseason, with the Liberty hiring DeMarco, the Valkyries hiring Nakase, and the Sky bringing in Tyler Marsh, who was a complete failure, the pattern is obvious. Teams are looking outside the WNBA instead of developing their own. And the result is that longtime assistants are getting shut out. If you're a young black woman who wants to coach, you're watching this and realizing that path might not even exist for you. That's the systemic problem. It's about the message that WNBA experience isn't valued as highly as NBA connections. And what's crazy is that some of these NBA hires, like Marsh in Chicago, have completely failed because the WNBA is a different game, with a different culture. So is the WNBA race? Maybe that's the wrong question. The better question is, are the league's decisions hurting the black women who built it? And based on these hires, the answer looks like a yes. And whether that's on purpose or not, it doesn't matter to the people getting hurt. So yeah, an ESPN analyst called out the WNBA for this, and it's opened up some really uncomfortable truths about who the league values now. The WNBA has some serious thinking to do.